And but before I need a service, I will also need a REST API, right? So hold on. So let us first create a service, and then quickly we will go ahead and create the REST API for user registration, right? Um, so I would want to put it inside shop. Inside shop, I will have one folder which is called services, and inside services, I will create a user registration service, right? So that is the way it is going to be. So I will open the command prompt first. We are finishing the user registration part in next 10-15 minutes. So okay, so ng generate service, right? So inside shop folder, I want to create a folder called service, and inside a service, I want to create a service called user, or maybe registration. Let me call it registration. Let me keep the name short, right? Registration. registration. Make sense? Shop service registration. So name of my service is going to be registration. If you go and take a look, look. Arey Baba, look. If you go and take a look, we have a service folder, and in that we have got the registration service, right? So ideally, this is where I would be creating my REST. I would be consuming the REST endpoints, right? And so let us kind of quickly go ahead and create the REST endpoints as well. So I'm using JSON server to create the fake REST API. So inside my project, um, let me create one folder. I will call it data shop data source, right? Shop data for fake REST API, right? And in there, I will create a file. Let me call it data.json, or maybe shop.json, or maybe shop data shop data.json, right? And inside shop data.json, what is it that I need to do? I need to create a JSON object with the key value pairs, right? So key is going to be what? So the first user type I have is user, right? Which is going to be an array of JSON objects. And the second user type I'm going to have, which I have not yet had, which I'm going to have is a shops. Ideally, user will also, if the user will also create shop, right? So ideally, we will have a shop, which is also going to be an array of JSON objects. And for each user, or maybe for each shop, we will also have comments, right? So as of now, let us keep this comments as empty. So you can see in the JSON object, we have got a key value pairs. One of the keys user. They're here in this array. All the data of the user registration will come. In this shop, all the data of the shop will come, which whatever the new shop is added, that will come. And in here, all the shop comments or shop reviews, whatever it be, that will come. So for the shop, we can have comments, reviews, right? So we can maintain a different REST API for the same. And we will add a new data, new key values here if need be. As of now, let us keep it like this. So hold on, I missed out on this activity in the Excel file. What is it that we are doing now? So we are in the process of user template given form for what? User registration on home page. That's what we are doing, and for that we are, and after that we are implementing the service for all for using all REST endpoints. So we have created the service also, wherein we would be using our all the REST endpoints, and now we are creating the actual REST endpoints. create fake rest and points. And for that we are using what? JSON. We would be using JSON server. That's what we are up to as of now. And so fine, so here we are. So let me kind of go and create a user. So what is it that we have? So I can copy the data from our browser, right? So I already have the structure in here, so I can copy that data. So all these things needs to be inside what you call double quotes, right? Yeah, JSON server follows certain convention of creating JSON files. So we have a visitor, we have a first name, we have a last name, we have a user gender, we have a user email, and this is not required, right? So we have a valid user in place. So each of the user will also have a primary key, right? Ideally, JSON server will use this ID as a primary key. So let me just supply a primary key as one, ID as a primary key and the ID value as one. So ideally, we have one user, right? So I need to now this is a user which is registered. Ideally, though I have not implemented the code for the registration, but this is what I am going to use. So let me kind of fire this REST endpoint, right? Okay, so hold on. How do I fire it? I need to go back to my command prompt and go open a new window and cd to the, what is the name of the folder? Shop data. Where did I create it? Oh, I have created it inside a source folder. Oh, I will take it to the root. Now it is in the root, I suppose. Yeah, now it is in the root. Yeah, here it is. Right. So I will cd to the shop data for fake REST API. So I have this shop data.json over here. So I can say JSON server. So ideally JSON server is already installed globally in my machine, right? So as a, from npm, I had installed it using npm install -g. Right. So let me update it. It is already installed, but let me update it. And for the people for whom it is not installed, they can kind of go ahead and install it like this. Okay. So you can see JSON server is updated, and for the people who might have used this command for the first time, for them it would be installed, right? So it will take a little longer for them. So now I can use a JSON server to fire my fake REST API. So I can use it like this JSON server. Or what is the name of my file? Shopdata.json, right? So here it is. So it will make my REST API available at localhost 3000, right? So I can test it out. Where is it? You can see /user, it contains one data, isn't it? So our REST API is available localhost 3000 /user. In the same way /shop, it doesn't contain anything. It's an empty array, right? Ideally, going forward, it will contain the data, but as of now, it doesn't contain anything. So that's fine. Let us take this user, right? So let us kind of go and create a service which will add a new user over here at this REST endpoint. Use consuming this, which will consume this REST endpoint and add a post request object. Send a post request to this REST endpoint and add a user, right? So let us do that. Let us do that. So, oops, sorry. So I will go to my registration service. This is my registration service, right? If you remember, this was my service which I created. So here I can have so let me do it like this then. Fine. So okay, so I just do not want to kind of waste any time in seeing what typo I am doing while declaring a variable. Let me focus on the real business logic. Right. So fine. Um, I have declared a REST endpoint, so now I can kind of use it. But before I use it, I should first inject a package which is called HTTP clients module, right? So HTTP client module will expose certain services like HTTP client or something like that, which will allow me to consume these REST endpoints, right? So I will go to my root module first, which is app module TS, and over here set up a reference to HTTP clients module, right? So import statement, and I need to do it from @Angular um, common HTTP, right? From there, I need to use something like HTTP client module, right? Now, since this is the inbuilt package, like since this is the inbuilt, hold on, what happened? Yeah. Yeah, since this is the inbuilt package, I need to set it up inside my imports array, right? Okay, looks good. Now I can go back to my registration service and inside a constructor inject the instance of HTTP client. Private, I can say HTTP of type what? HTTP client. Now what is this HTTP client? It's a service which performs the HTTP request, and I'm able to use this. Why? Because I have set up the package. I've imported a package called HTTP client module inside a root module. If I do not do that, then I cannot use this HTTP client. So now over here I can say, let's say, um, register user is a function which I need to call, and what it will do, it will say this dot HTTP, right? It will use HTTP and its method called post. It will raise a post request, right? To whom? To the this dot user REST API, right? Right, isn't it? And what will it send as a parameter to this user REST API? So it will receive one user over here as a parameter, which it will send over here. And it will return So whomsoever will call this function, that guy will receive what? Observable, right? Observable object, right? Which will decide whether the user registration was successful or not. Now here I can also check whether the check for the credentials or check for the token, that is JWT token, but let us do it later on, not now, because if I do it now I will need to kind of create authentication service as well. Fine. Uh, so let us use this method now, right? So I can, where is this method? This is method inside a registration service. So I can go to my registration component TS, right? That's where I'm getting a user, right? And over here I can inject that registration service, private register service of type for registration service, right? Can you see it is being auto imported? And you can see it is auto imported from service, right? So we looks like we are on track. So now I can use this register service. So I can say this dot register service dot. Now can you see here we have got that registered user method, the one which we declared. Now since this method is going to receive a parameter, so I will send this user as a parameter, whatever we have received over here, right, as a parameter. And if so, what will happen when this will execute? This registration service will receive a user, right, and it will send a user to this REST endpoint, which is this. Now if this is successful, it will return with the, ideally if it is successful or failure depending on whatever it is, it will return with the observable. Why observable? Because that is what is declared over here. It will return with the observable after making the post request, right? So I need to subscribe to that observable. I need to subscribe to that observable. So I can say dot, you can see subscribe is available, right? If it would have been working with promise, then I would have used then, dot then. But here, since it is working with the observable, I will work with subscribe. And within this subscribe, I need to define the observer function, right? That's what we did, right, when we were doing Angular and we were discussing Angular. So inside in here, I need to kind of go and set up my observer function. So how do I set up observer function? Like this. So there are two scenarios I have over here. One will be a scenario which is a success scenario wherein I may receive some kind of response, and one will be the scenario where it would be a failure scenario wherein I would be receiving some kind of error. Right now, since it is only one parameter that I am working with, I can remove this round brackets from here. Right. So let us work with the given scenario. So hold on. I can say if I have received the response. So hold on. Let me do it like this. Dot subscribe. If I receive the response, then let me just console.log this response, whatever I have received, right? And if I have received the error, let me say console.log error, whatever it is, right? So let us see what is it which happens. So in either of the case, a user should be added. If it is successful, user should be added inside my REST endpoint. You've used consuming my REST and user should. Sorry. If it is successful, that means what? I should be having a new user at the given REST endpoint, right? And so let's kind of type it out. So on our visitor name is OBBO, gender is he, and email is obbo@gmail.com. Make sense? We have got the data. Click on submit. Yeah. Can you see? A new user is added, right? With the ID of 2, isn't it? Can you say this? If you kind of go and take a look at your REST endpoint, just reload this page. Got it, right? So with the ID of 2, you have got the new user. So that means our template driven form for the user registration is all working fine. Hmm? So just a minute. I need to change my sitting posture a bit.